Norwich appeared at the Old Bailey today to deny the murders of two people found stabbed to death in a bungalow. The sandwich shop owner, John Moody, who's 44, pleaded not guilty to the murders of 65-year-old Kenneth Snell and Karen Brown, who was 39. They were found dead in Cringleford near Norwich last October. Moody was remanded in custody to face trial at Norwich Crown Court in August.
Now, some shocking pictures. Police have issued a safety warning to train spotters after a railway buff filming a steam train in Suffolk narrowly avoided being hit by an express.
Yeah, take a look at this.
Footage on YouTube shows the moment the train spotter at Thurston near Bury St Edmunds stood on a crossing to film the Oliver Cromwell. You've seen that. A train travelling at 70 miles per hour in the opposite direction. You can see passes through, almost clipping the man. British Transport Police said they were keen to speak to that man to offer some words of advice.
Yeah, that really was a narrow escape. I mean, by the looks of it, we've been looking at it all day, haven't we?
Yeah, 10 times.
Good to see he's safe, though. I mean, probably in a bit of shock this evening, but at least safe.
If you're the man or you know who it is, we'd like to hear from you, actually, and get more on the story. Do get in touch with us. Now, it's less than a month to go until the start of the World Cup, and preparations are underway to ensure the tournament passes off peacefully for fans here. Police forces have been training to prepare for any potential flare-ups, similar to those seen in Thetford during Euro 2004. Well, Alpha Patel has more on that.
They are scenes that have marred football on the domestic and international stage. Rowdy, abusive fans ready to cause trouble. With the start of the World Cup less than a month away, police forces around the region are gearing up to deal with such violent scenarios, including this staged flare-up between rival fans at Peterborough United's ground.
This region particularly has a significant number of minority communities from around Europe. We've got no reason to believe that those communities celebrating their own sporting achievements of their own nations will do anything other than enjoy that occasion, as will the English fans. But if those sporting rivalries do start to spark or boil up into something more difficult to handle, we've had the preparation to deal with that situation.
It will be scenes like this at the Red Lion pub in Thetford in 2004 that they will be looking to avoid. The then Portuguese-run pub became surrounded following England's quarter-final defeat to Portugal. Portuguese fans were trapped inside and missiles were thrown. It's one of the worst football-related incidents our region has seen.
6 years on, and the Red Lion, which is under new management, say they will show World Cup games this time round. But they say they're not expecting a repetition of those ugly scenes in 2004.
There's a lot of like Portuguese and English that drink together around here. We get a lot of them coming in and drinking together, so I can't see there being any trouble.
That will be the hope of every police force across the country too. But if any trouble does break out, the police say they are ready. Alpa Patel, Anglia News.
Still.
Now, there are new fears that homes along the Suffolk coast could soon be lost to the sea unless urgent work's carried out.
The area affected is Thorpeness near Aldeburgh, where there's been a dramatic increase in erosion over the last fortnight alone.
Little by little, this piece of coastline is disappearing. Just a fortnight ago, this cliff was a beach.
Just to give you a sense of the scale of this problem, 2 weeks ago I'd have been standing all the way up there. But in just the last fortnight, as you can see in front of you, this whole section of beach has been washing away, and that has left pieces of cliff top like this lying on the sand.
That's causing real worries for people like Shelley Cowlin, who lives at the cliff top.
We've got about 4 or 5 feet below the bottom of our boundary, and then it's sheer drop. And 2 notices that have been up on the beach warning people not to go down there have gone in already. And that's from this week, beginning of the week to the end of the week.
The District Council was today bringing in tons of rocks to shore up the defences, but councillors are not optimistic about the long-term future of these homes.
There's a very limited amount of money for the government as a whole. Therefore, there's a very limited amount of money for sea defence, and even major coastal resorts have a problem getting their whole resort frontages protected. The problem we have here is that there's a relatively small number of properties at risk, but you'd have to spend high six-figure sums, if not into millions of pounds, to protect them, and that's a very difficult question.
There wasn't a mention of coastal erosion in the Conservative manifesto, but the party's new Suffolk Coastal MP thinks the new government can improve the situation for people living on our coastline.
I'm not going to pretend that there's loads of money to throw at coastal defences, but one of the things that is possible, I believe, is to change an equation, the DEFRA that they have, that essentially says we'll only fund defences that last 100 years or more. Well, people have told me constantly up and down this coast and in the estuaries that traditionally people have been doing things that would last 30, 40 years and passing it on to the next generation.
The temporary defences should be built this weekend. The question then is what happens not over the next few weeks, but in decades to come. Tom Bars and Anglia News at Thorpeness in Suffolk.
3 boys aged between 7 and 9 have been let off with a warning after throwing concrete blocks and tree branches at traffic on the A12. 6 motorists called the police after dodging debris near Colchester at around 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. In one instance, a piece of concrete hit a lorry. Police say they would have had a tougher approach if the boys had been over 10.
A man is being questioned in connection with the alleged rape of a pensioner in Harlow earlier this week. It happened as the woman in her 70s was walking along a footpath close to London Road in the town on Tuesday morning. The man was arrested in Bishop's Stortford last night.
Councillors have given the go-ahead for more controversial engine testing to be carried out at Norwich Airport. The engineering arm of the airline, KLM, has been given permission to move its engine testing to the former fire training site at the airport. Well, noise levels will still be less than the airline wanted, however, and it will only be allowed to carry out the work on 240 days of the year.
Norwich police say they were pleased with how positively the Canaries promotion parade through the city last night was celebrated by fans. The team that won the Division 1 trophy took part in an open-top bus tour through Norwich. Thousands of fans, as you can see there, lined the route, which ended with a reception in Norwich Castle. The police said there were no arrests.
Plenty of very happy fans.
Yeah.
Now, volunteers and staff from the RSPB have been preparing for some extremely special visitors to Great Yarmouth.
Yes, every year, hundreds of little terns spend the summer breeding on the North Deans beach. Kate Prout has been to find out more.
Rolling out the welcome mat, or electric fence in this case, vital for the protection of one of our rarest seabirds, the little tern, exhausted and vulnerable after a 3,000-mile migration from Africa.
It's perfect habitat for them if you look around the Love Shingle beaches. Their eggs are so disguised that you wouldn't know if you stumbled across them, so without all the fencing, anyone walking down the beach could just walk straight through the nest.
700 metres or so of beach are fenced off, and miniature Anderson-style shelters are placed in the sand to protect the chicks once they arrive, perhaps as early as next week.
North Deans Beach is home to the UK's biggest colony of little terns. About 10% of the population comes here every summer to breed. This year, the RSPB are hoping that equates to around 250 breeding pairs.
Nearly 30 volunteers, many of them local, give up their summer to protect these tiny terns.
Once the terns arrive and we man the porter cabin, I come down and talk to the general public, patrol the beach, looking for foxes and that sort of thing.
Last year, only 20 fledglings survived the summer here. Everyone hopes this will be a big year for the little tern. Kate Prout, Anglia News, Great Yarmouth.
Now the project to reopen Beccles Lido this summer is on course. Supporters of the Open